the idea that we can just continue what we're doing and adapt that, I don't think that's going to work.
Sir Nick, welcome.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you. I'd love to get your perspective on what you think is reshaping aerospace and defense today.
Diana, thanks for inviting me. Really great to be here at Farnborough Air Show. And it's you've just got to look around. You've got to walk around Farnborough Air Show and say what's shaping air defense. We've got everything here from, let's call them traditional aircraft, the next generation aircraft like GCAP, and then you've got all kinds of really cool drones and sophisticated technology. So that is definitely changing the way the defense is doing its business. It's easy to sort of concentrate on the equipment though. And the one thing that I think I would say is what's changing the nature of defense is the amount of money being spent.
Okay.
So fundamentally, there's a new input function. The pace that's required to then turn the money into things, that is different. And the other thing that I think, and I'm going to say I would like to change, but isn't quite there yet, is the way defense is going about procurement. We have to change the way we think about procurement, because fundamentally, the long pole in the tent currently is the commercial function.
Yeah.
I think we've got to change the way we do our business in order to get that increase of money into increased volumetric output.
And how do you think organizations need to evolve? So one is the procurement side, but how do you think organizations, especially primes like Babcock, need to evolve to succeed in this new environment?
So you'll hear all kinds of wonderful adjectives and verbs thrown around, like agility and flexibility and all the rest of it. All tremendous.
Yeah.
You know what? We've just got to do what we say we're going to do. Let's start with that. Let's get a baseline that says, when you ask us to do something, we will deliver to time and cost. The second thing is then we've actually got to be more responsive to the market. We've got to take more risk. This is a risk-based calculus now. The world is different. We went from, let's say, very low risk to significantly greater risk, but we haven't adapted. We haven't changed our risk appetite to commensurate with the geopolitical situation.
And do you think the introduction of what is in America now being called neo-primes is starting to change that risk profile, the way that primes think about risk?
I absolutely do. I mean, we've got to think about it differently, because fundamentally you can't compete with let's call it a neo-prime that's got an enormous value and an enormous order book and no manufacturing or very little manufacturing capability to date that supports that. So that's a different conversation. And I think I said this before. There's this sort of traditional transition from VC through private equity into then long-term established businesses. There's a lot of these companies that are missing out that private equity growth phase and are going straight from VC to neo-prime.
Yeah, understood. What do you think is going to define the winners and the losers? More on the prime side, but what will make a company ride this wave out successfully?
So I think we're going to have to be more private equity-like and less PLC-like. I recognize that the shareholder, I get all that. We're going to have to work out, the shareholders invest in companies because actually they want return. And therefore, we're going to have to work out how we generate more value in that return space, because otherwise we're going to be outdone. But then we're going to have to have a long-term strategy that allows us to work back from where we want to be 5 years from now, and then put in place what must be true. The idea that we can just continue what we're doing and adapt that, I don't think that's going to work. Three sort of areas that we need to get involved in. We need to do what we're currently doing. We do better. So that's a performance issue. We need to invest in those areas where we're not currently are. And that's about new markets, but based on our credibility in the first space. And then we need to have a much more aggressive third space, which I think is that sort of, let's call it speculative. But the areas where we're not traditionally comfortable, but we're going to have to work with partners in order to think differently about how we do it.
Sir Nick, thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me, Dana.